My name is Brian Marquis, Mohawk, Katanga Territory. I live off territory right now, but always my heart is here. I have been nominated and accepted the nomination for the president of the Ontario Indigenous Medical Cannabis Association, or OMCA. And today was a historic day. Not a lot of fanfare, but that's good, because the truth of the matter is every little fire starts with a spark, and we're that spark that's going to start this fire.
Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, my name's Rob Stevenson. I'm from Alderville First Nation, part of the Bear Clan. I was nominated as vice president, and gladly accepted that. With all the poverty, everything that's going on in society and our First Nations, it's time for us to make a stand and do something to improve that, and to leave a legacy for our 7 generations. And then with everyone, all the committee members, our board members, we're going to work together and grow together. We're going to plant that seed. We're going to grow that healing plant, and it's going to help us.
Can you guys explain the difference between the national and the Ontario structure of the association?
It's pretty self-evident, really. I'm not the national spokesman, so Mr. Tim Barnhart, the national president, is the spokesman for that organization. So although I sit on the board, I won't speak for that board. But example, it's pretty simple, really. It's just the same as any other organization. You need this level, then you need this level, then you need this level. We're not done yet. We're going to form municipal board or local boards. People are going to go back to their territories and form local boards now. And we will all work together in order to do certain things. One of the main opportunities and responsibilities for the Ontario board, which we've already set up, I've been working on it now for 2 months. Now, there is an opioid crisis going on. And I'll be honest with you, Tom, we're not going to ignore that elephant in the room anymore. I've had 3 brothers die from drug overdoses, my own self. And so we're not going to allow us to be swept under the table when it comes around to that. We will develop a national strategy in order to help alleviate this type of addiction that's taken over, not just on First Nations territories, but in every municipality and town in this country. I've been in contact with members of parliament, city mayors, municipalities. I haven't received one negative response yet. As a matter of fact, they're waiting to meet with us. I told them that we won't meet and set up those meetings until we are finished, until we have formed these boards, which we have today. So now we are legally in a legal authoritative position to be able to start presenting to these people and have us partner with them and them with us so that we can actually do something about this. Look, I read last week about a 14-year-old girl, First Nations girl, beautiful young lady, died of an overdose of fentanyl. I've treated an elderly lady in Kingston I'm treating. She never ever had anything to do with any narcotics in her whole life. And she had a couple knee operations. The doctor prescribes her some morphine, and now I'm treating her to help her get off morphine addiction, and now she's 78. 78 years old, never doing anything like that. Now she's addicted to morphine. This is criminal. Doctors in the medical society in this world need to be held accountable and responsible for that. And if they're not, that's fine. We're not going to focus on the problem. We're going to focus on the solutions.
So what does that solution look like in the coming years? What do you intend to do over your course of your mandate?
Well, first, we have set up informational kits that come from schools like Oxford, Harvard, University of Michigan, University of California, Mount Sinai Hospital in New York, Israel, Spain. There is so many doctors out there right now in medical societies that are treating people for opioid addictions as well as other addictions using cannabis with a 64% success rate. So, the best that the medical rehabs can do here in this country, and I know because, I have a very close personal relationship with somebody that works very high up in that and has for 33 years, the best they can hope for is 3%. That's the best they do. And even those 3%, 1.2% eventually go back. So with a 64% success rate in helping with the opioid addiction crisis, we want to show that we are serious, that we're knowledgeable, that we can organize, and that we can help. And it's that simple.
How do people become members of the association? Is it an individual membership thing, or do you have to be a store, or how do you how's the membership happen?
We have individual memberships. For Indigenous people, the membership is $25. They can then have a voice in our organization. non-Indigenous personnel and non-Indigenous people. We have a $30 membership fee for them. We have a corporate membership. We have yet to decide through our board of how much we're going to be asking the corporations in regards to join this organization, become members. But yeah, I mean, the membership's going to be open and to everybody. We're including everybody. We're not excluding anyone. We're including everyone.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's right. I've seen comments on Facebook, people saying, that we don't represent the people, certain individuals. I say to those certain individuals, join our membership, and then you have a voice and you can speak for yourself, and we will listen.
And then you can have representation.
I was wondering if you had any comment on the increasing number of raids of dispensaries off of native reserves, and what you think of the situation where the Mark and Jody Emery and a number of their associates being arrested and the raids that are happening there. Does that give you cause for concern in terms of how that?
To be honest with you, no, I'm not concerned at all about that. I'm not at all. Like, I'll be honest with you, look, part of Business 101 says controversy is free advertising, and I've known lots of dispensary people all my life, and sometimes everybody has their own ways and tactics in order to do those things, but certainly they're free and capable of developing their own strategies to deal with their dispensaries. We'll develop our own to deal with ours. And hopefully someday that we can all get together and work together in order to usher in something that we already know should be done anyway. And as far as people, any dispensary getting raided, I think it's ridiculous. And why should the government and the federal government be the only ones to decide what's good for everybody else? Who are they to decide what's medicinal, what's therapeutic for somebody? Who are they then to turn around and say, well, you have to grow this cannabis, and this cannabis can't have this in it, and this cannabis, while they sit there and give permission to put 7 pesticides in it. We don't use pesticides or herbicides. So our position is always going to be the same. We're not willing to give up our sovereignty, and we're not willing to give up our control of the indigenous cannabis market. We never will. No matter how much money's involved, no matter how much they threaten us, no matter how much they do to us. In regards to Mark, in regards to him getting their stuff shut down, that you would have to take up with Mark. I can't speak for him. I don't know the fine details of what happened with that, but I do think it's ridiculous that he was closed down. I think he's been targeted like he always has been. But at the same time, a good businessman also knows that any advertising is good advertising. So, and at the same time, I'm not saying that that's what he's doing, but what I am saying, that's the byproduct of this now.
I guess what I'm asking is, do you think there's a kind of natural allyship between those working to decriminalize or just kind of, I guess they say, overgrow the government?
Of course.
And Indigenous people asserting their own rights?
Well, when you hear Mark and other people talking, and I have for years, a lot of them say the same thing. We're concerned. Nobody should be able, no adult should be able to be denied to use a natural medicine, a natural plant, any way they see fit. If there's no victim, there's no crime. And if you're not using negative sources to resource your material and stuff like that, I mean, there are certain responsibilities that every grower and every single dispensary or compassionate club have to do. And I think this is part of the problem. I think over the years, people have just been trying to develop that ad hoc as their own little thing, instead of coming together as a national organization, having codes of conduct to follow, having rules and things in place that ensure that quality, standards, goodness, medicine sharing,
safety.
all of those things, safety, come about in a good way. I'll tell you something, our standards, I promise you this, are going to be higher than the federal government standards. They already are now. Right now, Metrum had all of their stuff, or at least a large portion of their crop, confiscated and recalled. And they did this, and they was recalled because it had 2 pesticides that weren't on the government list of pesticides given approval on May 12, 2015 to those licensed producers. I find that criminal. What's to stop them then from starting putting other things in that and to make it nicotine? To me, I think they're looking for the next cigarette, and it's not going to be cannabis, at least not within the Medical Indigenous Cannabis Association, that's for sure.
When is the next, is there a next meeting, or is there a way for people to join the association? Or if there's people viewing this and they want to get involved, how do they do that?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we will be putting out a press conference tomorrow, and we have a media guy that's going to start putting those things out, press releases and so forth. And we will develop a strategy both provincially as well as nationally in order to bring people in and let them know just exactly how they can become members, the cost, what's involved, what their duties are, what our duties and responsibilities are. So we'll set that up as a kit for people, probably in a pamphlet form and stuff like that. And also, of course, once they become members, we will have membership cards. Everybody will have a number and a voting number, and it's like anything else. I mean, you become a member, you get a vote, you get a say. And we have to listen. You know, at the end, it's the General Assembly that we have to listen to. We understand that, and we're willing to sacrifice, and we're willing to put the time, work, and energy in to do that. And you know what? People can say what they want about it. They can be positive, be negative. It's irrelevant to us. Why? Because we are focused. Those 7 generations aren't going to look after themselves. We are going to look after them. And we stay focused on that, and everything else will follow, believe me. We have good people. And, you know, doing these types of things quickly weed out the ones that aren't going to be good, the ones that are trying to do whatever they're doing, whatever agenda they're following. This weeds them out very quickly. And now the ones that are left are the ones that have that like mind and understand that work and that's going to be involved in order to bring the Indigenous Medical Cannabis Association to the forefront and to be able to take our rightful place in regards to this industry, and not just handing it over to a few corporate giants so that they can put chemicals and even nicotine into it and create another addictive substance by which they can addict the people. Now, I say this, and if they want to screw with me, that's fine, but I'll show them their history, their own history, have they done that. They've been doing that for years and years. OxyContin and opiates are just the latest addiction tool. They're looking for the next one.
So what's the if you could imagine a time when you're looking back on this day, you know, 10 years from now or however long from now, what is it that, where do you want to be? Where do you want to see this this industry and this and where do you want to be in a decade? Or
Well, I hope that you know, in 10 years from now, you'll see the change already happening. I'm hoping we'll see the change in a year, 2 years down the road. We'll see you know, see everything developing. I'm hoping we'll have a very large membership, you know, support from all backgrounds. You know, I think we'll be a large organization, and you know, we'll be a proud organization.
Can you repeat that question to me, Tom?
yeah, as you're, you know, you spent your lifetime involved in this industry, at you know, as you look back, and if you look back as to what you're putting in place here, where do you want to see that be in 10 years from now?
I don't know about 10 years from now, but we've just gave an oath of office for 5 years as an interim board. Mm-hmm. And in the year 2022, we will open up for a General Assembly for having elections. And I'll be honest with you, I think I can only speak for the next 5 years, but I think within the next 5 years, what we want to do is to be able to use these 5 years now to develop effective, safe methods for growing, for distribution, for retail, for importing and exporting. All of these types of industries, ecotourism, cannabis tourism, all of these types of things that we can then now start exploring. We'd like to start developing our charters and make sure that we'll figure out what works, what doesn't work. And at the end of 5 years, we hand that over to the General Assembly, and then they decide. So where they take it from there would be up to them. And quite frankly, that is truly the democratic process. And we're happy to do it.
Roland?
And I also wanted to say, although this is a very serious issue, we understand the seriousness of it. But you know what? We are human beings too. And we understand that not only are we going to work hard and we're going to do those things and we're going to try to do our best to help steer this in the proper direction, we're going to have a good time doing it too. And you know what? Nobody's going to make us feel guilty for having fun and having a good time doing that. We're human beings and we need to laugh. We have children, we have friends, we have family. And you know, we can't always be serious to the point where we forget to enjoy each other, enjoy each other's company, and have fun too, because that's important too. It's good medicine. Laughter, eh? It's the best medicine.
All right.